All right, we are live. Let's go. Comps. We want to talk about comps, running comps effectively, right? That's the goal for today. So we talked about that you're saying they're curious about. So who wants to go first? And we'll start. We'll start with a comp.
I missed that first part. My audio wasn't connected. Can you repeat that?
We're going to run comps. We're going to talk about the best way to run comps. We're going to do some together. Just talk about the process, see what's similar, what's different, how people do it. And I think the best way to jump into it is just to do one. So who's got one they want to run?
I got one. Hang on.
All right.
Let me find it.
Basically what I'm going to do is I'll share my screen and I'll do it the way I would go about it. But what I would suggest is, depending on which MLS it's in, do it as well with me. And then let's see what you come up with that's similar, what's different, and then let's talk about that.
All right. Well, this is actually like out of my wheelhouse, and that's why I'm asking about it. I've spent way too much time on it. And anyway, it is a lot on the coast in Summer House. I talked to Janine about it yesterday. And there's lots of things that have sold in there, bigger, smaller, for less, more, but then you have to take into account wetlands being an issue on the lot. So I'm at a loss. The comp is, or the address is 271 Twinning Roads.
Hold on, I'm having issues with Zoom.
That's fine. And maybe this isn't one we need to do, because it's, I don't know.
To do difficult ones. Hold on. I just had some computer work done and it's not letting me share my screen. I'll be right back.
Ellen, I tried to send her to your lot.
Yes.
Spoke too soon, it's working.
That's a little out of their price range, given this lot we're about to look at is $39,000.
Okay, so can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes.
All right. I love how April was prepared. She came in hot, not a house. She's got a land, a lot that's on the water and it's got wetlands.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, what's the address again, April?
271 Twinning. I thought it was TWINING, not with the second N.
All right, super duper. Let's see. So we've got Summer House. So that's good. It's in an HO or it's in a neighborhood. So that could be helpful if anything similar has sold in there. I'm always a big fan of trying to stay within the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Possible. And I know at the coast that can definitely be more challenging sometimes. Just like to check the notes here. I love the use of all caps. Make sure you don't miss that. Nothing is decided what can be done with this lot.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm just going to start, at the 10,000 foot view. We got Summer House. We got a half-acre lot, more or less. So let's just start there and see, and we'll work backwards. Obviously, we want to search land, subdivision, Summer House, active pending, everything. We'll go back a year. What does that get us so far?
Should get you a ton.
All right, total acres, it was what, 0.48? So I usually will go a little below and a little above, it's like 0.33, 0.75, since it's almost an acre, half an acre. We got 19. Okay, well, let's start there, because that's a lot more than I expected.
Me too. When I did it yesterday.
Immediately, we've got one that's waterfront. We can take those out. Those aren't going to apply. probably, obviously you're dealing with a whole different ballgame when it's something right on the water versus something just in the neighborhood.
Doug, I can barely hear you.
I'm sorry. Try to talk louder. So basically, anything that's going to be waterfront, you're going to rule that out, right? Because that's just not going to be applicable. Like this one right here is right on the intercoastal, right?
Yeah.
6-4 Whispering. So that's not going to apply. So let's go back and edit the search a little bit. Let's make sure we got the right field in here. Let's see. Waterfront. No. All right, now we got 12. All right, let's look at the CMA. Let's see what we got. First of all, is our subject property in our comps? Because if that's not in there, then you've done something wrong. What?
Yeah.
It's this one, right? Is this right?
Yep. Yep.
So we've got, Caspian Court. That's in there. All right, well, let's look at what's closed, because that means it more than anything else, right? Because these things have actually closed.
Yeah.
We've got approximate acreage. You just look at the average here, a little bit less than what we're looking at, right? 0.43. We've got a sold price of $115,000 basically on average, right? That's about $260,000 an acre. Now what we would want to do is take a closer look at these and just see, you know, how much of these are usable. So we're talking about this one. April, tell us where you got to the point about trying to determine how much of this is actually going to be usable. Did you look up in the
there was 4 I was looking at yesterday. And I think not this one, so it doesn't really apply. I was trying to look up actual building, like envelope, because it had given a plat. Yeah, there you go. And it's a weird lot. It's got some, I think this one has wetlands on it too, but like kind of in the middle.
right?
So, and that's where I kind of got stuck. I'm like, I don't really know what to do with that unless I recommend that we get a survey, like to actually show us, or is the plat enough?
Let's see what it says on here.
And the ones, I believe these are still for sale by the developer, and then there's some that are not for sale by the developer that don't have a plat map at all in the documents. I mean, I could reach out and get one, but how useful is that?
This price point in that neighborhood for a lot makes me feel like it's priced like that for a reason, and it's probably buildability.
I agree. How do I find that out?
Well, you can ask usually the agents that list lots.
He's the
I've always
developer.
had sometimes they're pretty good about knowing, if the seller has attempted to build, if they already have a footprint or a survey or something. They usually have pretty good idea of what is doable and what is not doable. At least they should. But again, it's, if you want to put a small house on a lot, and who knows, it might work.
Well, they have to have, in addition to this, what I've already given you, they have to have a double lot at least, because they want to do a detached garage. So it just, the hits keep on coming with this one. And the only reason they're doing it is so they can get out of paying their $550 a month boat slip that they have currently. They just want to buy this land and maybe get it for what they're paying now or less. Anyway, y'all don't need the backstory, but I guess my question is, how do you tell without going under contract and doing your own survey where you can put a house?
Sometimes you don't. Sometimes that's the part of due diligence that you just have to go low in due diligence, because if
That's what I was
So
thinking.
$500 in due diligence, and that's the dice that you have to roll. Like, that's your job as a buyer, is to investigate the property and find out if it's going to be able to be used the way that you intend it to be used. And if you get a big fat middle finger and it doesn't work, then sorry, but that was the price of doing business, And a lot of the time, the agent may be able to give some good insight on whether it's even worth you moving forward on it or not. Just like a property that's been sitting that doesn't perk, like,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
Hey, April, I'm going to send you a contact who is kind of my expert on Summer House regarding the
Okay.
lots. I'll give you
That'd
his
be great.
name. And I don't believe double wides are allowed in Summer House per HOA. So if that's what they're thinking of doing, I don't.
Yeah,
do
that
not-
HOA is very, very strict.
Yeah, no double wides there.
Oh, no, a double lot. They
Gotcha.
need a
Sorry, I thought you said double wide.
They do not want a double wide.
So it's in a flood zone, but it's the 500-year floodplain.
Right.
So, you know, I think you would just have to talk with the county. Now, you could go in and look at the what's it called?
GIS,
Yes.
I was thinking GFCI, and I was like,
GFCI, the outlet.
acronyms. So you could go look in that and see by looking at the layers if it gives you a better indication of what is buildable. But I would say in this situation, just a very brief look at the comps compared to everything else that's sold in the neighborhood. I mean, it's priced that way for a reason because wetlands run
Yep.
right.
Yep.
So I think it's
So, I don't know what to do. Yeah.
Have you called the listing agent yet? Because that would be where I start.
Yeah, they hadn't called me back. I need to call again. I left a message yesterday, but it's a developer lot, and he's probably had so many calls on this lot,
call the and see if anybody in planning can walk through with you what they are seeing on their end. It's going to be buildable on the lot.
Well, I mean, quite honestly, it's a $39,000 lot, and I've already spent like 3 days on this. I'm already over it. I know I shouldn't be saying that out loud, probably, but
I mean, I get it, but that's
I know.
that's why we're
That's
talking.
our job.
People know when they encounter something like that, right? Okay. Well, that was a good
Thanks.
question, but that's how I would run comps on that one, and I think this one is pretty clear. It's definitely, it's priced where it is for a reason.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have one?
Do y'all want to? I've already done it. Do y'all want to do my listing that I'm working on? That's awesome to comp.
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's 605 Gena, GENA,
Hold on.
VEE Court, and that's Stella. Oh my God, please tell me I didn't close out of it. Okay, good. I have it. Okay. Phew.
Okay. What's the address?
It's 605 GENA Gena VEE, 2 words. Yeah, that's it. The second one it was a new build one she bought. Yeah, that's it. Mhm.
Okay, so is this from when she bought it?
Yeah. She bought it in 2020, I think.
So what's special about it that we need to know?
Okay, so there's an in-ground pool in the back. She has purchased the adjacent lot and recombined it to be 0.95 acres now. So there's no buildability between her house and the neighbor's house. In between her house and the neighbor's house is a whole bunch of land. And from one tree line to the left is hers, and the neighbor bought the other side. So there's no buildability between her and the neighbor. It's in a cul-de-sac. It's at the end of a cul-de-sac. it's in a neighborhood that's got water access, like not deep water, but like you could put a skiff or a kayak or something in like that. It was a custom build. She does have some handicap features to it.
Are other homes in the neighborhood custom built?
It's good luck. I'll tell you the ones I found, but I can't find anything. There's currently nothing in the neighborhood listed, and the neighborhood doesn't turn over very often. I think it's about 2,500 and some change square feet. She's got a big retaining wall in the back by the pool. She's got a wheelchair lift. Yep, those are the two that I pulled. Plus, I had to go outside.
So what
I did-
did you do? Not that, I mean, I'm on the
No.
code doing this, but like you went in and hit something. Did you do 2 and then you hit subdivide or something?
Subdivision. He narrowed the search by subdivision, Forest Ridge.
Oh, no, I thought he did okay. All right, maybe I just looked differently.
But I use the map feature to get some more because I know that those two aren't going to be good enough.
She owned this lot too?
I'm sorry. I hold on. I got to zoom in. I can't see what you're. Yes. Yeah. She does.
And who owns this one?
I can't see. Her neighbor?
Okay, like this house?
There's a house next to her
There's a
on the
house.
left.
Okay. Okay.
So I did it by not a one-line CMA. I did it by a full CMA and made my adjustments that way.
Walk us through it.
Okay, I don't know how to share a screen.
Oh, you gotta click on the button.
Anyway, so when I if you click on that CMA button right there, Doug.
This one?
Yep, click that. And then do you see where it says use all results or use select? Okay. So see where it says full CMA? Yep. And then just click next. And then if you have a property that's already in the MLS, it works oh, you can just that's just where you would type the client name. You can just click next on the button there. If you already okay, so do you see where it says auto populate fields from existing listing? If you can just click on that and you can put the MLS number in there of the current property, it'll autofill. So that MLS number is Jesus, hold on. I don't have it in front of me. Crikey, where is it? I don't have it in front of me. I gotta go back and get it.
What was the address again?
605 Genevieve.
Most recently.
There you go. Yeah. So just copy and paste that MLS number. Yeah. There you go. Perfect. Okay, so then it'll automatically auto-populate. And then if you scroll down a little bit, see, you can change these fields. Do you see where it says lot acres 0.43? I changed that to 0.95 because now per the deed, it's that recombo lot. And on the left-hand side, so these are automatically what the CMA is set to compare from the other listings. If you want to put in other fields that you know you're going to want to adjust or that you want auto-populate, you can put in new item. But yeah, so you can pull anything that you want from that list. Like fireplace or whatever the heck. So I usually just leave it and then do an individual adjustment on each comp. But I usually have, if there's pool in there, Doug.
Nice if you could search, wouldn't it?
I know.
I'm glad you're doing this though, Janine, because this is what I was,
Yeah.
I saw you do it that one day, but I
Yeah.
wanted to get
Yeah.
more insight
No,
on how to do it.
this is the way that I do it if I've got harder properties to comp. And again, like it's all just what you think, and you shouldn't get too far in the weed. There you go, Doug. You shouldn't get too far in the weeds. So just put a Y right there for yes, and then click next. So you can add those comparables or show only selected comparables. So you can manually put the comps in, or it should auto populate the comps that you selected. Oh, add comparables. And then you can it'll automatically, you can do find comps like that, or if you already have the MLS numbers, you can enter them manually. There you go. It should pull those two, and then I had another one that I used. Hold on. Okay. Oh, come on. Okay. All right. I used 523 Holland Mill, 1004 18411 is the MLS number on that one. And I used 301 Jones Ridge, which is 100444.
Janine, hold on a second. You get too far ahead of me. So when it does find comps, how do you refine what comps it's looking for other than miles?
Yeah. So before, when you had on the very first page, when you put in, when you go back to that and you put in your thing and it auto populates, when you did use selected and then you do full CMA, it'll automatically populate those properties that you chose from the beginning. But I don't know if you like got out of that or something when you went to put the address. So yeah. Yep, that's the subject property. And then you can do add comparables. Yep. And then you can just put the MLS numbers in right there.
Okay, tell me the ones you're using.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. All right, so the first one is 1004 18411. Tell me when you're ready for the second one because I can't see you.
Yep.
Okay, 1004444838.
Okay.
And then the third one, I just went outside the neighborhood, but still in Stella, 1004458284.
Does that look right?
Yep. And then you click next or add compare. There you go. Yep. So now it automatically will populate all the ones, and whatever you have set in your system to auto adjust, it automatically, the default I think is by square footage. Whatever you have in there, it will automatically adjust it by that. I think I have like $50 a square foot or something like that for Onslow County. So if you click auto adjust, it will sorry, my phone is not on silent. It should automatically auto adjust for the square footage that you have. See, so if you click OK, you'll see it automatically 3 adjustments were made, and that should just be the square footage adjustments. So if you go to that drop down there to the left where it says adjustments for comparables, that's the subject property. So click on the first one, Holland Mill Lane. There you go. You can see it made an adjustment for square footage right there because it's a smaller house. So whatever you know that you want to adjust for, that the subject property has or doesn't have, you can go to new adjustment right there, and then you can type in your thing and then a plus or minus value for whatever you want, like a fence or a pool or a fireplace or whatever. So that's the subject property. You have to pull down the other one. So if you go to Jones Ridge, there you go. See, it made an adjustment for the square footage. And then the third one, it should have done that as well. There you go. So I don't know what parameter you have set for your square footage in there. But anyway, you can add new adjustment under square footage for anything that you want to adjust. So like if you want to do a fence and then plus or minus X value, 3,000, whatever it is, bathroom, pool, whatever. And then after you populate each thing that you want to adjust for, you click next, and then it will populate the adjusted prices for it's kind of like doing a grid for the VA when you get tidewatered. So it'll automatically populate the adjusted value of the property.
So is Genevieve the only one with a pool?
Yes.
How do you?
I'm pretty sure. Hold on. Let me just confirm. Let me look at my stuff. I'm pretty sure that one does not have a pool. Yeah. Yeah. I'll go back up to my thing. So I did, yeah, none of them have a pool, and I did 20K for the pool. That could be right. That could be too much. That could be not enough. It's hard to know. You just got to use your best guess. But she's got a nice pool with a retaining wall and concrete, and it's a little bit more bougie looking pool. So that's why I did 20.
Adjustment on this screen.
Yes. So on this screen, you go to new adjustment. No, right there. Yep. Click on new adjustment. Oh, I'm sorry. No, click to the first comp. You don't want to use the subject property. There you go. Perfect. And then you're going to type in there underneath square feet, type in that blank pool. And then you're going to add whatever value you want for the pool. I did 20,000.
I've never used this tool before, so I'm confused. Why are we adding the value to a comp? Shouldn't we be adding it to the subject property?
It does add it to the subject. This will add it to the subject property at the end. It adjusts to the subject property for these changes that you're making. See where it says adjustments for comparable? You actually have your subject in there as a comparable. So you probably need to move that, delete it off the list.
So we need to do that for each address.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, then would you hit next?
You can do a new adjustment if there's other things. Again, this is just for purposes, like however many things you want to adjust for, you would just keep doing new adjustment, plus or minus fence, plus or minus fireplace, whatever you're adjusting. And then when you click next, it will take all of that data. And then do you see how it does this? It adjusts each property. So it'll give you a low of average, a median, and a high of where it's telling you to list for. And then if you, hold on, I'm trying to see your screen. So if you click next, you can click on this toolbar. I can't see. If you click on next, you should be able to click view. See that says recommended mine was 540. 537. So if you click next there,
What you got, right?
I was going to advise. So if you click view right there, Doug,
Okay.
you can see it'll bring it up as a chart with the subject and all of the others. Keep scrolling down and all of the others next to it. And you can see, there you go. So you can see each thing and how much you've added and adjusted for. And then on the very bottom where it says adjusted price, it tells you how it adjusts to the subject property.
Okay. right there, recommended price, right?
Yeah, I did a little bit more stuff, but yeah, I'm gonna advise 540.
So you really don't add or subtract anything from the subject property. You add or subtract it from
Correct.
the property.
Correct.
It uses the calculation that comes
Correct.
with this recommended number.
Correct.
Everybody see how that worked? I know it's maybe not as straightforward as it seems until you kind of walk through it. But does that make sense to you guys? How you're making these adjustments?
Yes. So it's kind of like in school, whenever, like when you were doing your class
Yes.
and they gave
Up or
you,
down.
yeah,
Yep. Yep. And when you get tidewatered and you'll have a grid that you have to fill out. And I literally just did it last week. You pull your comps and you say, okay, this one is plus, you just go by what you think. Obviously, what the appraiser gives it. If appraiser gives X value for a fence and you give X value for a fence, it may not be exactly right, but kind of what you go with. Water view 5,000, fence 3,000, fireplace 2,000, whatever you feel like is an appropriate adjustment. Again, it's not an exact science. It's just a ballpark for you to kind of guide your sellers.
Is
With
there a
short of getting a pre-list appraisal, this is the only
Yeah.
way that I know to do it.
Is there a document, or does anybody know where you can pull and it'll have kind of those numbers for
No.
us to use? So
I
we're
just
not
go
guessing?
based on previous appraisals that I've looked at and what the general adjustment is.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think intentionally that is not really out there because
Yeah.
ever changing and evolving.
And it's an opinion of value, right?
Exactly. Now you can search, I'm sure, and come up with something if you want a guideline, but that doesn't mean that's going to be the actual value that an appraiser applies when it's actually done. Get to
So each appraiser, when they go out, they can, like one appraiser could say, oh, this fence is worth $3,000. And
Yes.
next appraiser could come out and say, no, I think this fence is worth $5,000.
Yes.
Well, that's nice.
Go back and look in the library of videos on YouTube. We have had an appraiser on the meeting before, and he touched on some of these items. So that might be worth a revisit if you haven't seen that, or if it's been a while since you've seen that, just to hear directly from the appraiser and their thoughts on things like that. All right. Does anybody else have one they'd like to walk through? I'm going to say this, and I mean it 100%. Y'all have it a lot tougher at the coast.
Yeah.
Because the variety of properties and locations and the factors are so much more different than they are, at least more wide scale.
Even in one stupid county.
Josh, what were you saying?
Said I got one.
Okay.
The MLS number is 100780955.
$1812 Irish Boulevard,
Mm-hmm.
right, Sanford. I sold a house in here a couple years ago. Great client.
Perfect.
So this is how I would start.
So that's, yep, I started that way.
Three bed, 2 bath. Is it on the golf course?
It is not on the directly on the golf course now.
All right. That would be the biggest factor in something like this to kind of take into consideration. So I'm going to start very basic and we'll go from there. We've got Carolina Trace. In this instance, we do have a neighborhood, so I'm going to add that as well. We might back that out.
So, I had to back it out, and that's what I wanted to know.
Okay. We'll just put it in, see if we have anything. Single family. Boom, boom. Date range, 12 months. We got 3. What if we do 6 months? 2.
That's why I backed it out. It kind of went in too much.
We'll Let's see what this one has. All right, it's on the same street. It's also active. It's a lot smaller. Okay. Not a bad
Just
start.
wanted a few more comparables. And I didn't want to go out 12 months. So, but it still doesn't do that much.
Just looking for a close one. Just to see if we're in the ballpark of,
The square footage was so different on that closed.
so we're at 200, 159, and 177. Well, I would say offhand, that tracks pretty well given the square footage. I mean, this is the most square footage, it's the least per square foot. This is the middle square footage, it's right in the middle. And then boom, boom. So thinking about it that way, now this one only has what, one car garage, is that right? Yep. What else did you add to your criteria, or did you just take outlaw thicket and only did six?
I took out the neighborhood. And I kind of, from there, I added in a less bath, less and more baths, less and more bedrooms, and did less and more living area. And I was able to hone it down to like 8 properties,
All right, so
which is what but then it kind of gives me a pretty big range. And I also did 90 days, not 6 months. Because it's so
Dang, I like
changed
how
right
y'all's
now.
works
So
way better than ours.
all right, so let's see what else we got. 1,300 square feet. So let's do. All right, so I whittled that down pretty good, I think. We got all one-car garages. We got 2 that are a little bit of outliers because the size of the lot is bigger. So let's look at the averages here. Oh, that's new construction. Okay, we got to take those out. This thing was built in 1997. Let's go back.
that's kind of where I got stuck. Is it's so newer.
Now it's a good deal older. Let's see. These are pretty consistent, and there's still a good difference in the age range between them. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
What's the lot size? 0.21. This one's got a big old lot. You know, I'm going to say this one is striking distance, but it's overpriced.
That's what I was telling my buyer. Okay.
Let's look at the history. Yeah, no reductions.
We don't have all this.
Yeah, you do. You got a history button in Flex.
Where? Am I crazy?
History.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, they tried to sell it last year for about the same price. They did come down once.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna go a little bit low. Okay.
Is this a flip? Or they just paid a lot less for it when they bought it? 142.
It didn't look like there was much renovation, so I love it to flip. It actually looks like a Airbnb sort of thing, to be honest with you.
Let's go back and look at the last listing just to see, or the one before that. Yeah. How different do the pictures look? Are they the same?
They are the same.
So they really haven't done anything. I think it's overpriced based on what we're looking at here. This is kind of a weird one when you've got that much going on. But I think also if you go back and you adjust based on just that neighborhood, it's kind of giving you the same direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just, I thought you needed more than one. That's why I backed it out. You needed more than one comparable. So I didn't want just one. I wanted, 3 or 4.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
obviously more is better than less, but also more isn't always better than less if it's not really the same type of property or the same age. If you have to make
yeah,
adjustments.
well, that's right. Because there's the 220s in there. And I was like, wait, that's a $50,000 difference. So, okay.
But I think you're approaching it the right way, and you could also do a greater search just for the whole neighborhood and see if anything has touched this $200 a square foot. Obviously, this one is really not that big, right? It's a very small single family home under 1,400 square feet. But just to see if anything else has come close to that price per square foot in the neighborhood.
Well, the neighborhood is just, it's such a variable thing because it's on a golf course. So some of them are absolute monster homes. So it's kind of hard.
Well, Josh, here, do one with
Y'all's MLS is prettier than ours.
I like it better, no doubt.
Yeah, yours is prettier.
So, Josh, do this one with me if you don't mind and see what you come up with. I've got a showing today, and this is an older home in Raleigh. Brandon, if you want to jump in and do this one with me too, be interested to see your thoughts. 605 Essington Place.
What is it?
605 Essington, Essington. Nice. All right, my comp's not on there, so something's not right.
You have to be careful when you're running comps that if your comp is not always on there, sometimes the listing agent hasn't entered all the information correctly. I see this all the time where the listing agent will input the wrong property type, especially townhomes and condos. They'll have a condo listed as a townhome because they haven't taken the time to actually ascertain what the property is. So sometimes you're not entering it wrong, it's been entered wrong on the other end.
Yep. 100%. You also have to be careful with, especially up here. There are multiple neighborhoods that have or subdivisions that have the same name.
Yeah.
You got to make sure you put that city in. Sometimes you might be getting a property in Apex compared to one in Anger or something like that.
Yeah, I usually do the zip code. Right off the rip, I think these people are out to lunch.
All right, so let's just look at this because
I agree. Just hone in on the subdivision. It's
2824 Wincott Drive is substantially improved
245.
to this.
Yeah.
245 closed February 20th. These people are out to lunch.
It's only a 161 square footage difference. Yeah. Especially the past 3 months. Things have changed a little bit.
You can just tell from the photos too. If you read the agent remarks, it's a 1031 deal. The sellers have never lived in the property. It's an investment property. I would bet my life the home shows worse in person than the photos look, which don't look good right off the bat. That's just my initial read on it.
Well,
I don't even see a walkway to the front door.
Does that home have a basement?
It's a split level.
Oh,
I don't know if y'all have split levels there or
hell
not.
no. Mm-mm.
I actually kind of like split levels the older I get. I would just say while Doug's cruising through this, I had to take a call earlier, so I don't know if I missed this or not. But if you're not asking your buyer clients for a copy of their appraisal report on every transaction,
Yes, good point.
you're missing a great opportunity to get better at running comps. One, you should get those anyway to verify that the appraiser square footage is somewhere reasonably close to what's been advertised. But number two, by studying comps closely, it helps you understand our comps don't matter. It's what the appraiser
That's
ultimately
right.
comes up with. And so if you have the ability to, you can, if you review appraisal reports, you have the ability pretty quickly to discern how appraisers are assigning value. As an
Yep.
example, what's the difference between a 1-car garage bay and a 2 or 3-car garage bay in a neighborhood? What does a 4th bedroom add as opposed to a 3-bedroom? And that helps you not only educate your client and show that you know what you're talking about, um, but is that this? Which property is that one, Doug?
this is wind coach, so it's definitely.
It's definitely not. Okay, well, I didn't scroll through the photos.
I mean, it's a mess.
Your
Yeah,
subject looks better than that one.
it definitely looks better than that. So
And there's no.
I didn't look at the photos, so mea culpa. It sounds like I'm wrong.
Well, no, that's fine because most of the time I don't look at the pictures unless I have reason to look at the picture.
Right.
You see a big disparity in the price per square foot, then it's like, okay, well, what's going on here that made that
It's
happen?
justified now. Yeah.
Now, here's
Yeah.
the thing to note:
Sure.
it's sold for over list price.
Yeah.
It's
So
sold for 245 in that condition, and it probably needs 50K worth of work.
easy. Well, what's interesting is that they did a great job of drawing people in with the curb appeal because you look at the front photo and you're just like,
That's not bad.
and this is what buyers are doing, right? This is the importance of the photography. You see the front photo and you're like, this is worth checking the tires on. But I saw the main photo for Essington Place and I'm like, this looks like Sanford and Sons junkyard. I mean, it just doesn't look kept up. So that's a learning moment for me.
Oh yeah, you're right. There is no walkway to the front door, is there?
I don't see one. I mean,
The
maybe,
grass.
but it just kind of looks like it's a mile away
Green
from
trim.
Chernobyl.
Okay.
So, after a closer look, I'd say, hey, still in the market, it's worth negotiating, right?
Yeah,
It
definitely.
was listed at 305 to begin with, so they just had a price reduction on Tuesday. So yeah, I mean, I think there's probably some room to negotiate there, but on a second look, maybe it's not priced that bad.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to not rush through these. It's also important why it's so important to do this before you show the house and take them with you. So now you've got some context. Hey, look, just looking at this initially, it might look like this one was overpriced, but take a closer look at this one. I can pull them up and show them the pictures. Hey, it sold for over list price. Also, take a look. It needed a ton of work.
Yeah.
Yours is relatively or this is relatively turnkey compared to that.
Yep.
So those are the kind of things that you have to look at, think of, and be prepared. I'm telling you, and I've said this a lot of times before. I don't care how long it takes. If you're not running comps before you're showing a house and you're not taking them with you to discuss with the client, you're selling yourself short and you're doing your client a disservice.
Yep.
100%.
Now,
Agree.
I don't run comps on a new build. I feel like
No, that doesn't.
there's no point.
No,
I was gonna
no.
say, do y'all?
No.
Absolutely not. And I was talking to a person about that this week, and I was like, I told him straight up, I said, if you're looking to negotiate on new construction unless it's been sitting there for a while, then new construction isn't for you.
We got to go somewhere else. Yeah.
So, well, I hope that was helpful.
I will say on the new construction note, I have had situations where like they haven't closed anything in the neighborhood and they're just starting in the neighborhood, and I'm talking to the builder rep and I'm like, where are you justifying these comps? Are y'all using another neighborhood nearby? And since nothing's closed in here, if we have an appraisal issue, will the builder reduce? So it's still worth having that conversation, especially if you have nothing closed in that neighborhood to justify. Now, also their business model is every quarter we're increasing by $20,000 sometimes. And so it doesn't freaking matter that the last one closed 2 months ago for 20,000 less. I always say, okay, well, you don't have anything that's closed at these new prices. So yeah, I understand your business model, but also it needs to appraise. And so still just having those, because I've gotten burned where they said that they would reduce and then it came in short and then they didn't. And so thank God my buyer could spend the money, but it's always a good idea to have that conversation with the builder rep
So you've
too.
had a new build that hasn't appraised before.
Yes, correct.
Had that happen too before. Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
with new construction, I think that the real value add on new construction is a lot of agents don't go to design center appointments.
Correct.
I do. I don't understand the logic of not going to a design center appointment, and the reason is because I have had conversations in design centers several times where I ask that person, "Hey, on average, what are people putting into the property? How many up?
50.
How much are they doing in upgrades? 34 to $55,000." So if your people start going through, and the next thing you know, they've added $85,000, they're probably not going to appraise. And so you need to
Yep.
have a conversation with them on the front end, because if it happens late in the game, it's too late. And if they can't afford it, you've got a done deal. And, not reality is you haven't helped them to the degree that you should have, just being honest with you. And they're not going to know that if they're not there, if they're there by themselves, they're not going to think to ask that question. That's the value that we provide. So
Sometimes builders make them pay out of pocket on the side so that it doesn't go onto the contract price to affect the appraisal at all. I definitely have had that done with Atlantic Construction, where my girl wanted to add screen and porch and all the things, and so she had to pay for that outside of the contract, which didn't affect the contract price and the appraisal with the comps in the neighborhood.
For mine at McKee, they had to put half down.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's really common. A lot of builders up here, especially the track builders, they'll give you a grace period, but like if you exceed X amount,
Yeah.
you have to put 50%
Yeah.
down at the design center or
Yeah.
something like that. So, I mean, again, those are things that, that if your client is buying just a, if your client is buying just a, I'm blanking on the word where everything has been selected already. What are they called? Help me out,
Oh,
somebody.
pre-sale? Like a
Not a pre-sale, but yeah,
spec. A spec.
spec home. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think the need to run comps on those are lesser than, but
Yes.
if they have the opportunity to go to design center and they're just going nuts, you definitely need to, I think you need to guide them on that.
If it's a neighborhood where everything is included already, it's going to appraise because
Yep.
everything's already built in. If it's a semi-custom where they actually are going to a design center that's not in the sales center in the neighborhood, then that's where you want to make sure you're asking while we're looking at homes, not when we're writing the contract, but up front. In general, what are people spending at the design center? And then tell your folks, help make sure they understand how much of that they might have to put down up front because the builder requires it, because at a certain point you're over improving, and then that's where appraisals come into play.
You're gonna stick out like a sore thumb in the neighborhood. Yeah.
Really good points, and it's really important to talk to about new construction in that regard. A spec home shouldn't have any problem appraising because I'm pretty sure they hadn't over improved, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
What you see is what you get.
Always as a reminder for folks, as far as an appraisal goes, I mean, I'm sorry, as far as looking at new construction, they're probably not going to be to negotiate the price, but you always want to make sure you're asking what incentives they're offering,
Yep.
especially if you're looking at the end of the month, because they want to get something under contract.
And most of them want to keep the price, but they'll do, you can ask for closing costs or,
Exactly, because that ain't showing up.
yeah,
That's right. Yeah,
or
I
a
mean,
credit at the design studio or things like that.
buyers have to understand that, if they drop the price on the house that you want 10 grand, they're sabotaging the comps for the entire community.
Yep.
And their goal is to gradually bring the price up, not put it backwards. And so,
And them as well, so they can get equity in their house.
correct. And so, Connor, your point is dead on. Don't ask for the price reduction. Ask to buy down points, ask for closing cost contribution. Funny enough, I've never had a new construction home not appraised with the builder
Really?
lender. I have had I have had several homes not appraised with an outside lender. Funny.
Actually, that's a really good point. Now that you say that, if they do, I think that the builder is 1,000% more willing to discuss an appraisal issue if you're using their in-house lender because they have that relationship already out the gate. That's a good point.
I can tell you this, I think it was my second contract ever. I had these people under agency and then they disappeared. And then she called me like 2 months later and was like, hey, we're under contract on a new construction and it didn't appraise. Can you help me?
What the hell?
And so I called the the on-site agent. I was like, hey, look, I didn't know this was happening, but these folks are under agency with me and the house didn't appraise. What are you going to do? Also, I'm their agent now. And I got paid and they reduced it.
Wow. What a
Damn.
different world.
Wild, wild west.
Nobody's with that anymore, are they?
What year was that?
2015, probably.
Yeah, now it would be like, I'm sorry, why am I taking your call?
Yeah.
Touch grass.
We didn't have your name when they drove by the neighborhood, so you're
Yeah. So piss off.
basically. It's 11. I know we got started a little bit late. Does anybody else want any help with any comps? We've shown you a couple of different ways to do it. Josh, I'm pretty sure there's a similar tool in Paragon that you can use to make some of those adjustments like we were doing in Flex with Janine. So I just say get around in there and play with it. You're not gonna hurt anything.
Can I ask y'all's question on one thing for here at the coast? Before we go. Now, with like waterfront properties here, so here we have like Wilmington has the river or the ICW, and then Beaufort has like the Neuse River, then the ICW. Do you comp properties differently based on the river and the ICW if they're both deep water access?
So a beachfront is going to not be a waterfront. So depending on how I think that if you're waterfront, whether that's against the ICW or whether that's against the marsh, I mean, it's going to be an MLS as water view, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the only option, and let waterfront, water view, depending on how they do that. Obviously I would adjust for more value, like my beach house, the deep water access on the ICW, but that's on the mainland versus the island, right? So yes, I think that if you're looking at a freaking stormwater pond, that's not the ICW, but it's still going to be in there as water view.
Right. So if you're, say you're in Beaufort and you have a house on the Neuse River, but it has deep water, like a boat lift, deep water access, would you, and there has little comparables, would you use comparables that are on the ICW that also have deep water access?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That's what I
As long
Because that's a huge.
you know what I mean? As long as it's still in the relative same area.
Yeah. You don't want to use something out of Wilmington for Beaufort,
but like
though.
you would use,
I think you could, in some cases, if you didn't have
Carteret
enough,
County.
you could compare Hampstead ICW and Topsail Beach ICW. right? Because they're both facing the same body
Correct.
of water.
Right.
It's on an island.
Yep.
Okay. I
That's a
just,
good question.
Yep.
there's not a whole lot of
Yeah.
comps on the like Noose River, but there's more, there's some on the
I
ICW,
just
but they're
got-
both deep water access.
Yeah, I think that, because that's a huge adjustment, right? Being deep
Yeah.
water access boat lift, that's a big deal. If you want, I just got tidewatered and did a grid and got the appraisal back, and he actually used ours and dropped his originals, which was good. So I'm happy to share my client's appraisal if you guys want to come into the office one day and we can kind of go through it. I can show you what we went through.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Because they do face the water view in the neighborhood. They do have so we did make adjustments for that.
One thing I want to add to is ask the listing agent for the comps.
100%. I do that all the time.
Hey, will you share?
Yeah.
This is a tough one. Will you share your comps with me? We want to get this right. What were you using? Can I take a look? If they believe in the comps, they should be willing to share them.
But sometimes they do that and you're like, where did you get these comps from?
Have a conversation with them.
They are allowed to go back a year, so do keep that in mind. Anything older than a year, I'm not confident about, unless you're
Well, you
making a
remember-
gigantic time adjustment for it.
My Hampstead house, it was
Oh yeah.
1.5 story and she was using like a 4,000 square foot 2-story house to comp it. And I was like, this is not gonna work.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not it. That's not how we do this.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I've done it, but I will do it. The agent that I'm working with, Ellen, on my Hampstead house, she asked me for comps, and I was like, sure, here they are. Let's go. I mean, why wouldn't you provide them unless you don't?
Yeah.
And then if somebody's like, well, I don't know if I want to share them, well then, yeah, okay, they're priced. Maybe,
Do you need to sell the house or not? But also you always have to understand too that just because the agent has done a CMA and has advised a number doesn't mean that the seller, you know what I'm saying? They have to list where the seller wants them to list.
Yeah.
So it may not be exactly.
Well, good combo, guys.
Yeah, I hope this was helpful. Great topic. I
Yeah.
haven't done this in a long time, Connor. So thanks for suggesting it. We're not going to do mastermind next week. It's Winslow's birthday thing for his birthday. We're going to Busch Gardens. So, and he's out of school. So I'm taking him and some of his friends. So free pass.
Oh, they on break next week?
So if you've got but as always, I want more topics and I want topics that you guys want to talk about. So if you've got something in mind, please send it to me, text or whatever. Also, we're also the next 2 Thursdays we're off because the week after that, we're gonna be in Cancun. And Connor's gonna be on the road somewhere in in Latin America.
Holy
I'll
hell,
be
we're not
somewhere.
gonna have anybody here to work the
Well, I'm hoping that it's taken a minute to get his bike out of customs, so they haven't left just yet. But so I'm hoping maybe the next week. So I'll be here while y'all are gone for your people, and then so if you need me, I should be here. Hopefully, maybe.
But I still need topics, even though the next one won't be until March 27th. So if you've got an idea, please send it to me. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks, everybody. I hope you have a great day. Holler if you need me.
Y'all
Thank
too.
you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.